What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another acrylic painting live session. So today we are going to explore a setup where you can see my Stay Wet palette. It's using a different camera, so this is gonna look different than what you're seeing over there. So for example, if you look at this color here, it's going to look different over here. See the difference? This is more, this is cooler. This is warmer. See the difference? So the purpose of this is so you can see my decision making as I'm mixing. Hey, Uncle Earl and Giselle, welcome, welcome. I just want you to be able to see my decision making, and I want to be able to actually mix color and have it actually stay wet on the palette. On the canvas, it's okay that it dries fast. In fact, I want it to dry fast. But on the palette, it's a different story. I want it to be wet the entire time because I want to be able to use my mixtures. So with this composition, I chose to use a double lighting setup where the right side is closer to the green and the left side is closer to the red. And what I'm going to do is just kill off the background so I can have some idea of my composition, how I'm going to be cropping everything. So basically just using black, hey Mauve, using black and blue with a little bit of yellow. And using my medium to thin out the paint along with water. So I'm assuming the face is going to fit somewhere over here. The neck is going to be there. Top of the head somewhere about there. Back of the head there. So little rough estimates here. Neck is going to be right about there. Leaving room for the shoulders. And now we're going to mix up a greenish color. Cleaning off the brush, some paper towel. I'm going to use yellow and blue. So just yellow, ochre, and blue. Now I know that this is not going to be as bright as the picture. That's because I don't have a color quite as bright. So I'm going to have to improvise with what I have. In the future I'll buy neon bright colors, but I'm going to see what I can do with this. It's going to be a more limited color. But still, we'll push the color as far as we can. My yellow is not a bright yellow, it's a yellow ochre. So it's an earthy yellow, as you can see there. Thinking a lot about the composition with the start of this one. That's why I'm spending more time with the background than I usually do in the beginning. Going to be a type of landscape back there. I'm going to have to get some more of my acrylic medium, which looks like white, but it's not. I'm going to fit it right here on the palette. See how it looks just like white. So the reason I don't have the palette here is because it will drip. This is a Stay Wet palette, and I want you to see how I would, what I would recommend everyone do. This thing stays wet forever, almost. I mean, obviously not forever, but seems like forever. focusing on abstract shapes with this composition. Now with the sky, I'm going to use just white, mixing it directly on here with a tad bit of blue. So on camera, you really won't notice it that much. It will dry darker, of course. This is a really useful way to start with an acrylic. And if you want to, you can even start this way with acrylic and then switch to something like water mixable oil paint or regular oil paint. Sky's the limit. More medium. Medium is Golden Brand gloss glazing liquid. Looks like white, but it's not. See, it looks just like the white. But when I add it on here, it mixes nicely. So you wouldn't have been able to see that with the horizontal palette. Or, I mean vertical. Horizontal relative to this, but vertical relative to me. Hey, Hansel dog. Now we're gonna plane out some of the hair, working from the inside out. Pretty much just planning where everything is gonna fit. It's gonna look quite abstract right now, and that's okay. More of the blue is up here and it starts to get yellow. Acrylic is kind of perfect for this because it dries and I don't have to worry about complementary colors mixing and killing themselves off. Getting a lot with the hair early on. Now we'll block some stuff in for that more red part. And it's okay if they mix and kill each other off a little bit. Now we're gonna get into all kinds of fancy color, along with form. So this is a live painting stream, so please feel free to ask any art related questions you will have. Now we're gonna add this brilliant color, which is a mixture of pretty much all the colors you just saw me use. Can't really tell you specifically, because it moves too quickly. Now, typically I will suggest building your way up to the lights, but in this instance, because we're going to do so much with color, these colors are going to be pretty opaque. I'll be pushing the limits of what I can do. With acrylic. In theory, this kind of lighting would be easier with acrylic with proper control. And it helps a ton that the mixtures on my palette are going to stay wet. I'm going to rely on this heavily. So let me know what you think about the schedule. This is the second week now. Wednesdays is oil painting, Thursdays is acrylic, and Fridays is pastel. I hope that you're enjoying the schedule. I know the time period doesn't work for everyone. At least you can watch it as a pre-recorded after it's done. The Stay Wet palette, by the way, is not this gray color that it started out in the beginning of the video. It just ended up becoming that color after I cleaned it off before starting the stream. So that's a good thing. It eventually turns into a gray. And this is just an image from Unsplash. Don't like having to use these references, but I just don't have access to being able to work with live models where I am. Hopefully that will change at some point. Hey Hansel Dog, I'm glad it works for you. Yeah, I've been struggling with acrylic and pastel to get people interested. And I know it's because I'm not the biggest expert with acrylic or pastel, but I'm trying. But with the Stay Wet palette, it's so much easier to maneuver around these values. So much easier. Hey Giselle, I have painted a live model in about 3 hours. That's almost all I did back when I started painting. I was fortunate when I started painting. I grew up in an area where there was a lot of art around me. As far as a live stream, yeah, I think I've done that once. My wife posed for me. I don't even think we were married yet back then. I think I did, or maybe it was a pre-recorded. It might have been a pre-recorded. It might have been a pre-recorded, actually. I'll get back to you on that. I don't know. I am not sure. But yeah, when I first started painting, all I ever did was paint from life. At one point, I thought I'd never paint from a photograph. Let alone that's all I do. think that that'd be all I would do. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Let's see. It seems like you haven't done a live model, but it wasn't your wife. Have done a live model? I have no clue. I've done so many paintings here, I have no clue. Yeah, yeah, some of my friends, if they would pose for me. But yeah, in my pool league, or my pool academy, I really haven't spent that much time there in the past. Ever since I started doing more with art again, so I don't know, it'd be kind of difficult. One of the things you'll learn is trying to get like non artist people to pose for you is very difficult. Um, because mostly they don't understand that they have to hold still, and it's very difficult to hold still. Not everyone can do it. I can't do it unless I'm doing a self portrait. I only ever posed for a portrait group once when I was in Philly. And to be honest, I don't even think I have the space to live stream painting from life. Right behind me is a wall, so it does take more space. So not impossible. I'd have to figure that out. I've done a couple demos, painting demos. Every single one of them, except for one, I painted from life. So got a lot of experience doing that. Just don't have the resources here. And because it's acrylic, I can just go right into straight red. It's not a problem. I wouldn't recommend doing this with oil paint because this is not going to dry in oil paint for a long time. But in acrylic, it'll dry right away. Okay, so now that I've got the entire, almost the entire canvas minus that, we'll fix that now, covered, we can move on to doing some more information in the face, adding some more information to the face. You can see with the limited palette, the color and value range is still pretty broad, so no real issues there. Of course, moving into the face, I'm going to have to paint back into the hair, move my way towards the face. And I'll just keep this blue, and then once it dries, I'll add the red. So painting from life is always going to be better than painting from a photograph for me. That's how I was trained. But really, for me, I just want to be able to paint. So, if I had my way, I'd paint from life every day. But it is expensive because people aren't just going to pose for free. You have to pay a model fee, and it can get pretty expensive. When I first started, it was about $10 an hour, and then it moved to 15, then 20, then 25. And you know how things are with inflation. You really gotta understand. We as artists, we have to understand that modeling is a job. Like being able to stay still is a job. It's difficult to do. So it's money well earned for the models. But from life, of course, is ideal. It's the best. But when we don't have access to painting models, the best thing to do is to do master studies or to paint self-portraits and then move back into painting from pictures. Most of what I've done in the past 2 years has been master studies for Rembrandt. That's what I've been teaching my students. So now I can safely return to these pictures and know that I'm gonna be able to modify it and not just have to paint strictly what the picture is telling me to paint. Not too bad for the first, almost the first 30 minutes. This, having a palette on the bottom is much easier on your arms. Painting doesn't seem like a very physical thing, but it is. See, Hansel Dog, you really enjoyed the old master paintings. Paintings. I'm glad you did. We'll still keep doing them. But of course, for for the internet's sake. This is what I'm gonna do for a little bit. But I'm translating it. I'm translating the photo reference into a painting. See how I can just cross between mixtures. It's not something I could do without a stay wet palette using acrylic. It's a tremendous advantage to have the stay wet palette. When you're painting like this, you have to think about the face as a sculpture, which is not that easy to do because you have to disassociate from the fact that it's a person, and you have to focus on shapes of color, shapes of value. You also have to have patience with yourself because you're not going to get the right shape at the right value, right color right away. So it takes a tad bit of patience. So let me know if anyone here is new to the streams. I know I just started them, so YouTube's not really doing me a big favor with promoting it, but in case anybody is new, let me know. Also, for those of you that have been here consistently, Giselle, I'm talking to you. I'm really thankful for you. Uncle Earl, Hansel Dog. Hansel Dog was with us back in 2021 or whatever it was that we first started doing the live streams. I guess that was during the lockdown. So Hansel Dog, did you already know how to draw before attending a school? Yeah, I mean, I had classes when I was like 17 with an artist in Baltimore before I went to Incaminati in Philadelphia. And in Philly, it really was the big one for me, where I was able to work from a live model pretty much every day and develop my skills, being able to see shapes, being able to conceptualize a form, and the consistency was really the thing that helped me the most. Was that that school was and I hope still is very focused on painting from life. Of course, I only did 1 year there. I would have liked to do 4 years, but life and all that stuff. But I'm fairly confident the rest I learned on my own. There's always things to learn, like acrylic, like trying to learn a new material. absolutely no doubt in my mind that acrylic can be taken to a high level, and I would have doubted that when I first started oil painting because I didn't know any better. It teaches you how to be more precise, faster with your values and your mixing. And just like what we're doing here, it teaches you how to layer wet into dry, which you don't do as often in oil painting unless you're spending several weeks on a painting. But from what I've seen on the internet, let's see, I missed something. Hansel Dog, I've been around long enough to remember the color value web. You remember that? It's still here. It's just more compressed, I guess. Smaller palette. But yeah, it's been a while. I hope to remain here for as long as I live. This is my life's passion, really, being able to produce these videos for you. Not just do the same thing over and over again, but try to evolve. This is me trying to evolve here. I've evolved the online classes also to be more of a semester system. This is my online classes. I feel like I've done pretty much everything that I would want a student to do in order to obtain what I consider apprentice status, where you select your own paintings, your own references, and I guide you towards your own path to entering galleries, doing your own YouTube, which, as you know, everybody, there's so many people on YouTube now. It's a different thing than it was back in 2020. Hey Susan, welcome to Acrylic Thursdays. This is a very challenging subject here with all these different colors. This is a painting where the face itself is not the hardest thing. It's the colors. And using a limited palette for all this is, not easy. But we're getting there. All these shapes surrounding the face are very important. Hey Hansel Dog, you may be interested in a new teaching system. Yes, I'm doing especially for beginners. So basically what I'm redoing, what I'm doing is I'm redoing project 1 all the way to Artemisia and Milkmaid, and I'm editing the footage from the past into shorter videos that have checkpoints. So you basically watch the video first, watch the lesson, which is now shorter, about 18 to 20 minutes or less, and then you paint using the checkpoint images as your references, as opposed to trying to paint at the same pace that I was painting, or perhaps you painted faster back then. And the critiques are only for students that are working on the projects, so that's different. Not everyone liked that, but I had to stick to what I wanted to do. Basically, I want to guide people towards skill building exercises as opposed to just letting everybody do what they want to do, which is a challenge in every art school. I mean, most art schools will let you do whatever you want to do because they want to keep you, but I'm trying to guide people towards like a successful future in art. So for those of you, right, another thing that I changed about it is I made it such that you could use acrylic, you could use oil paint, you can use water mixable oil paint. I explained the differences between what to do with each material when you're completing a project. And for those so everyone draws. So if you're painting, you're drawing with color. You're drawing with paint. So you do draw. I know you draw. You may not draw with, say, charcoal specifically, but I know that you do draw. Yeah, it's a system that builds progressively each semester, and each semester it will repeat, so that I'm not doing the same thing over and over again. And each semester I'll add something a little different to the way that I edit the videos, make it better for everyone. And I'll add the bluish color to this afterwards. But what I want is the form to turn. Form first, then fancy reflected light. And this is amazing, being able to just go right into the palette, into these mixtures, knowing that they're going to remain usable like this. Makes a transition like that so much more efficient. Hey, Angela. master paintings too? I can. I mean, I chose this because it's kind of out there, kind of really different. But yeah, I mean, I can. If you mean in the online classes, it's essentially I'm re-editing all the earlier projects. So, for example, you would be quite close to apprentice whenever you return to the classes. So I would be guiding you towards, like selecting your own subject matter and things like that. Of course, I know that you still have your large self-portrait project, but like you, Kathy, Mark, uh, Mark, the three closest, and Ellen, so four, John, five closest to apprentice status, and I'll be guiding you towards your own studio work. You could be on YouTube as well if you wanted. But YouTube is a tough thing to do. Let me tell you something. Anyone here that's interested in doing YouTube with art, you better love it. Let me tell you now, you better love it. It is absolutely not worth it if this is not your life's passion. You'd be better off doing illustration or something like that. But I've always had this fascination with painting. I've always had this fascination with painting and video, and it's evolved into live stream format because to me it's like one of the purest forms of showing you what it is I'm doing and how I do it. So I know that some students will go down the gallery route as opposed to my wrist hurts for some reason. Going the gallery route as opposed to like the YouTube route. And that's okay. Ansel Dog, one thing I had an issue was using the water soluble. Almost used it too thick. Yeah, it does take a while to dry depending on what you use and like the conditions. And I'll explain that as well because I'm also giving instruction in the classes for pastel. So pastel isn't going to dry. Isn't going to be like it. Of course, it's already dry as it is, but it's not going to change. So it's basically like painting wet into wet like forever. So but yeah, like I can explain what to do with the water mixable. It remains workable even when it's in between dry, so that's a good thing. Spent a lot of attention on the stuff around the face, and I may even just use charcoal to get the shapes, maybe even pastel, to get the shapes in for the eyes and all that. This is probably the most difficult setup I've attempted on a live stream thus far in the past 2 weeks. All the other ones have been a little more simple, but I like a challenge. So, a question I'll ask everybody, and we still got about 13 minutes till the break, but one thing I'll ask everyone: what is your favorite material to use? Oil paint, acrylic paint, water mixable, pastel, watercolor, gouache. What is your favorite material to use? Alex MK, oil paint. Can't blame you there. I think for me, yes, oil paint is still my favorite. But the other two are growing on me though. The pastel and the acrylic. Hansel Dog oil paint. Very good. So Alex, number 2 is pastel. Pretty cool. That's what we'll be doing tomorrow. I do find that really challenging because I haven't had as much experience with pastel. But lots of fun. So not too many acrylic painters here today. I'll throw some little hints here for the glasses. With glasses, you typically just want a couple lines worth, like that, in the beginning, because you're going to end up painting over them a lot. I mean, a lot, so only the bare minimum for the glasses in the beginning, but you need something for them. So next question for everybody is, who is your favorite artist of all time, living or dead? And mine is, of course, Nelson Shanks. He passed away in 2015. His son is a great painter now too. So Mauve Sargent, Hansel Dog Sargent. Hey Jonas, you would like the portrait and the colors. Also how you're painting the glasses. Oh, thanks. Yeah, of course Sargent is tough to beat. So, question for everyone, who's your favorite artist, living or dead, alive or dead? We usually get a Bob Ross or two, but I guess we didn't get any this time. Alex MK Rubin? Peter Paul Rubens? Or which one? Oh, cool. Thanks for sharing, Alex. And MBB Bougaro. Awesome choice. Alex, so cool. I'm glad you like the hair and flesh seems like in motion. Yeah, it's it's a lot of stuff going on at once here. But the most important thing is the simple shapes. And we're gonna take a break soon in about a minute. It's important to take a break every 30 minutes, or in this case every hour. Of course, anyone that might be new during the break, I play a video of my Shiba Inu. He's a trick dog. He does a lot of cool stuff. And I only ever take a break for about like a couple minutes at a time, just to stand up and walk around. Those of you that have been here for a while, you know all about Hugo, the Shiba Inu. And right on time. Usually the subtleties is the second, well, not the second, but the first break. Typically return with subtleties. Which is what we'll be doing with this one. Before I take a break though, I'm gonna change the light sensitivity. It seems a little dark to me. There we go. So you can see a little more. Alright, so after the break, we return and start to add subtlety to the face, more subtlety to the hair. Maybe do a couple planes on the clothing or something. And then, yeah, just continue to push the painting as far as we can today. So I will be back in just a couple minutes. Hopefully you'll enjoy the video of Hugo. Okay, I have returned. So hopefully you liked that video. A short video of Hugo. Of course, that wasn't the whole thing, but there will be more later on. Of course, I used a bunch of red, so gotta add more red. And yeah, but you know what? Painting is tiring. So I was doing some pastel practice before this today, and I'm actually kind of tired. It does tire me out more than I thought it would. But we must paint on. So now a question for everybody. Those of you that are still here, do you have any pets? Do you have your own Shiba Inu? Do you have, what kind of pets do you have? I'm gonna have to switch to a smaller brush now. So we're gonna have to refine, like add all the structure to that. Do you have any pets? Do you have a pet boa constrictor, a poodle, a tarantula, a chihuahua? Do you have a pet cat? Tell me stories about your pets. An artist is only as great as their studio companion. Now that we're moving into smaller shapes, things are going to slow down a lot. So, whereas in the beginning we were kind of just throwing shapes around, moving very quickly, now it's going to slow down and we're going to add more detail. For most of you, this will be boring and you will leave. For those of you that remain, comment down. You are a superhero. In my mind, you are a superhero. You have the patience, the determination, and you're willing to hang out with me. MBB. I'm glad you like Hugo. Thank you. Hansel Dog, you have a dog Henry and a cat Morty. Cool. Mauve, you have a grand dog Holly. Labradoodle? What? No way. My mom has a Labradoodle. A golden Labradoodle. That's quite a coincidence there. Golden Labradoodle is what my mom has. I'm glad you like the colors today. Yeah, I mentioned this yesterday. I just had this idea of doing something more with color today. Because acrylic lends itself really well to this kind of thing because you can go cross complementary colors without them browning themselves out. It can be done with oil paint too, with pastel also. You just gotta be careful with the cross contamination of the complementary colors. Meaning the blue, the greens and the reds. I know this is not green, this is blue because I don't have my yellow ochre would only make this a little less bright. But you know, things like the green that's in here would kill off the red over there. Oh, golden Labradoodle too, awesome. Yeah, my mom's golden Labradoodle is Sunny. Name is Sunny. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of Sunny. Golden Labradoodle. Yeah, that's my mom's golden Labradoodle, Sunny. That is Sunny. Very hyper energetic puppy. Uncle Earl, you've got 2 Yorkies. Awesome. Oh, thanks, Marv. Yeah, Sunny is pretty awesome. Super energetic, though. Yeah, my mom has a Labradoodle Sunny and a senior dog, Chihuahua named Taco, Mr. Taco. Now we can add the blue to this side, and then maybe not yet. Let's do something for the ear. Giselle wrote on my laptop. Phone wouldn't let me comment. Van Gogh is your favorite. No pets of your own. Grand dogs and 3 grand kittens. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, YouTube's kind of strange. Like I haven't been able to use my laptop to comment, but I figured a way around it, and I use my iPad for the comments, which actually works even better because it's just easier for me to have a separate device for the comments anyway. Oh, question for everyone. This is a question from my wife. I'm gonna have to type this out because I'm gonna forget, and I can't forget that. So what we're thinking of doing is, in the foreseeable future, once there's a bunch of paintings done here and then paintings for sale and things like that, my wife a long time ago liked to make stickers and calendars of my paintings. So question from her is if anyone has any interest in calendars. She is the crafty one out of the two of us. She likes to design stickers and posters and things like that. I'm not quite that creative. So if you're watching this as a pre-recorded video after the stream ended, please feel free to comment down if you're interested in calendars. For example, like this would be the month of, I don't know, what month is it? We're in August, like the month of August or something like that. I could probably do some seasonal landscapes too for fall, winter, and summer. I don't know, things like that. Hey Giselle, yeah, I do get to this point a lot faster in acrylics, I'd say, because I don't have to worry about the paint kind of mushing sometimes. But it's all relative. I mean, to me, it's kind of, I'm used to this now. But yeah, for acrylics, something like this, there's lots of color contrasting. I think it's easier than oil paint. Now, if only I had gone to the store and bought a neon green, that would be perfect for this, but I don't have one. That's why I'm using the blue. Now with glasses, you gotta be careful. Don't add every little spot. Leave some empty space like that. Because if you fill in the entire shape for the glasses, it looks kind of fake almost sometimes, like painted on. I also don't really, I don't speak as much when I'm at this stage in a painting. So I would really like anyone to have any questions, say you would want to ask the other viewers. Or ask me, of course, any questions you would have. And we can always keep talking about our furry friends. I'm really happy with Hugo, the way he's learned so much. He's gonna turn 2 in December. And yeah, I'm really proud of him. It's not all me. I did do a lot of research on the training, but since he was a puppy, he's always had, like, he's always gonna seem like a puppy to me, but since he was a puppy, he's always had something special about his personality. So Giselle wrote calendar. My work would be cool. Or my students' work. First painting versus latest painting. That's a good idea. I like that idea. I'll be sure to remind her. Her first students' first painting versus where they eventually got. That's a good idea. This stage it's so important to have a stay wet palette. Just look how we can just blend away at those shapes. I tell you what though, after all this time, this doesn't really feel that different from using oil paint anymore. You just get used to it. Used to kind of like the rhythm of the night. Just kidding. Moving from one dry area of paint to another. Not really being bothered much by working wet into dry. I'm trying to use the transparency of the paint here to help me out. Perfect. So again, this is much easier to do with the acrylic. So I don't have to worry about a wet layer underneath interfering. And see how I can dry brush this away to create a smooth shape. Now of course this is too much right there. So I can let it kind of brown itself out here. No problem. And of course this has to be answered for. So MBPS, when is the best time to varnish painting in acrylic and what varnish do you use? With acrylic, you could pretty much varnish like the next week if you want to, just to make sure everything is like dry, which of course it will be. But what varnish would I use? I would use oil paint varnish. It's not an issue at all because with acrylic, most oil paintings have an acrylic gesso underneath of them anyway. So there's no real risk involved in it. And if you want, we could even varnish a previous acrylic painting, and you can kind of compare how it does over time. Yeah, this is not something I would be able to do using the wet on wet technique with oil paint. Yeah, I'd say give it about a week just to be sure. used a tad bit of wet into wet for that plane because I wanted it to wanted it to brown out a little bit. The neck is a little bit longer. The neck probably has to come down to here. This has to come up to here. I'll fix that later. Let's see, Hansel Dog, did you start with an underpainting for this one? Nope, just went right in with color. I think like the first brush strokes I added were somewhere over here. Just right away with color. And with acrylic, I like to start with the white of the canvas because it's very difficult to work your way back up to the light of the canvas, at least from my experience. I have trouble starting with a middle or gray, darker ground and working my way up. It's easier for me with acrylics to start with the white of the canvas, as opposed to oil paint. I use a gray tone. I like to push color differences like this as much as I can early on, and then kind of push them back to reality. The middle values are the most difficult color wise to gauge because they're kind of like a brownish gray. And another advantage color wise with acrylic is the brush is really easy to clean in between sections, so I don't really need a light brush or a dark brush very much. I just have a brush. I clean it periodically with water. Hey Thomas. Oh, thank you for that comment. I'm glad you like seeing the acrylic demos as you work with acrylic. Yeah, acrylic is really useful for big broad colors like this. And in the future I'll buy some more colors. Like I didn't quite have like a bright green, so I let this be blue. But it's very useful for many different situations like this one. But thank you. I'm glad to have another acrylic painter here. So, what kind of acrylics do you use? Do you use Golden brand? I just have like the cheap Artist Loft right now. But eventually I will upgrade it to Golden brand. What I use for my medium is Golden brand's gloss glazing liquid, and it's right here. It looks like it looks like white, but it's not. And I just use it to thin the paint out. I didn't really need it for that. And of course, the Stay Wet palette is absolutely essential. Having this Stay Wet palette. Once I close this palette, everything stays wet, and next week it'll still be wet. Remember, I'm not sponsored by anyone. Everything you hear from me is due to my own experience. Or inexperience, but due to my experience. Hansel Dogger, can you send me an email about the classes? Sure. Yeah, no problem. So, essentially, the classes, the semester system starts with the most basic projects. So it's the same project one painting that you saw last time, but my guiding you through it is different. I'm voicing over the footage from before and making it so that any material can be used. So I'm turning into a kind of like a checkpoint system where you, instead of trying to follow along the painting, which I know some people like doing, but I think it's better to watch the lesson first and then paint. Like with this, if you're going to try to recreate this painting, I think it's better to watch the stream first in its entirety. And then do the painting. Yeah, and for you and anyone that's curious, I can also play the video for the next break. I can play it for a couple minutes. Of course, I won't give out the entire lesson, but I can play the video for you, see if it's something you'd be interested in or not. The power of technology when it works. How about that, Hansel Dog? I'll do that for you. And for anyone here that's watching that's interested in that. As much as I love to play Hugo, I know everyone's seen him a lot now. Hey Libertas, welcome. No worries, we'll be here for a while still, so it's all good. Yeah, so during the break, I'll play the first couple minutes of the new Project 1. Let's say I'll play it until maybe the second checkpoint. Starts off really simple. It may be too simple for some more advanced students. So like I always say, I can work with you at whatever level you are. Yeah, Hansel, I'll play it during the break. So in about 42 minutes, I'll play it. The first couple minutes of the video, and that should be enough to get an idea of whether you like that style of guidance or not. From Thomas, you wrote, have a hard time working with oils, feel like acrylics are simpler and more forgiving. Oh, yeah, they're more forgiving in the sense that they dry right away and you can just kind of paint right over top of any mistakes. That also makes it more difficult for people that have a background in oil paint, because we're used to like working wet into wet. In a lot of my videos, I'm pretty sure that I mentioned that. But now it's more experience with acrylic. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. In some ways, it is easier. I appreciate the comment. And even with the subtleties, the Stay Wet palette makes it a lot easier. And I'm working on a studio painting. I've been working on a studio painting for a couple weeks now with only acrylics. I haven't shown it to anyone except for some of my students. So 100% acrylic. But again, for you, for the oil painters that are only in this for the oil painting, that's why we have Wednesdays. But there's a lot you can get out of acrylic that you can transfer back into oil painting. I mean, a whole lot of stuff. Mixing mostly, being able to be very decisive with your mixtures. Let's see, so Giselle wrote, paint color or light looks different watching on TV versus laptop. More reddish tones coming through the TV. Yeah, definitely. It will look different depending on what screen you're looking from. That's kind of the fun part with all these colorful setups. Very different from what you're used to. Now we can put some highlights for the glasses as well. A light yellow. Yeah, of course, Cassell, no worries. Hope you'll like it. And one thing that's definitely changed about the classes is I only give feedback to students on class projects, as opposed to in the past I would just let everyone do kind of what they wanted to do. But now I'm enforcing it, so it's not everyone's favorite thing. I think I might have lost a couple people because of that, but I'm doing this for everyone's benefit. Not my own benefit, you know. It would be more lucrative for me to set up a class where you can paint whatever you want, or I paint a picture of something and then have you paint it. Well, as a beginner, I wouldn't really suggest anyone do this unless you're doing this for fun, which is all right too. But as a beginner, I would suggest starting with the fundamentals with the old masters, or starting with a guided exercise like what I have. But starting out, something like this is an absolute nightmare. Trying to do something like this, but it can also be fun, and in that it shows you what skills need to be built. Yeah, I'm stricter than I was before, but I'm not that strict. I still want you to have fun. Yeah, we'll fix the neck now. Starting with the skin tones, let's change brushes here, back to the bigger brush. Or not. This dried dark. Don't like the way it dried. Okay, that's better. Okay, so let's go ahead and mix up some more skin tone. But before that, some blue. So Thomas, do you paint faster with acrylic or with oil? It depends. I mean, someone made a comment that I get to this point faster with acrylics, so could be that I do paint faster with acrylics than with oil paint. I don't know. It could also be just like the time of day. Like, for example, I was right before I started this stream, I was already doing a practice painting in pastel. So I don't think it's like one makes me necessarily faster, but if I'm painting like suppose I'm painting like a cityscape or a building of some sort, the acrylic will be faster because it dries and then I don't have to worry about accidentally smudging anything. So in that instance, acrylic would be faster. If it was a straight up face with no like elaborate color changes, just like a straight up face with a simple background, nothing much going on, then oil paint would potentially be faster just because I have more experience with it. But I don't think one material necessarily makes me faster than the other, but that might change in the future. I might end up being faster with acrylic. I think acrylic lends itself to painting faster anyway because of the drying time. which is something that I like, is that it dries faster. And you could also you could time me in the videos as well. No pressure on me, right? You could look at the frames, right? At 1 hour, how much did I get done with the oil paint versus 1 hour, how much did I get done versus the acrylic. And no matter what my opinion is about one or the other, there will clearly be one that's faster than the other over time. I don't think that can be done in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even 4. Over time. I mean, we'll be doing these streams for a while, as long as you're interested in these live sessions. And these are completely free for you. The only thing that'll cost you something is the online classes. I haven't changed the prices at all. It's still $10 a month. But remember, speed isn't everything in a painting. It's important in a demo, of course. Like, I wouldn't call this that much of a demo as it is just more. I'm just sharing with you some painting time together. In a demo, you're usually trying to do something at a certain speed to gather interest, which is the right thing to do in terms of marketing. But I like doing this. It doesn't feel like unnatural to me in any way. This is just what I like to do. Okay, 8 minutes till the break, and that's when I'll play a portion of the first lesson on my classes. I won't do that every time, of course. I would rather play Hugo so you can have some entertainment with my Shiba Inu. Who knows? Maybe I'll make his own Patreon. You can see more of him every day. That'd be pretty cool. He has his own Instagram. So it seems a major difference besides drying time is you can blend your oil colors on canvas while painting, where acrylic has to be mixed on the palette before. Yeah, definitely. Although there's some instances I think where I did mix on the canvas, like with this. I put the blue first and then added the white. But yes, generally speaking, you do want to mix it on the palette ahead of time. Now for the remaining 6 minutes just before the break, we'll add some more stuff for the hair. The hair definitely needs some more work. Not too much, but still needs some. Like those reddish, pinkish lights. Can't forget about the dark shapes. Now back to the bluish colors. And when that dries, which will be in about a couple seconds, then we'll add the red. This should be dry. Yep, dry. Okay. Is it dry? Yep, it's dry. So the blue sandwiched with the red. Pretty good. I guess for the last minute before break, add this dark back over here. It's part of the composition. Almost like a mountain landscape behind. Okay. All right, so we're at 2 hours now, and I will take a break, and I'll play the video. Well, hold on, let me first set that up on my computer, which should take a minute or so. Let me find it. It's kind of tough to run a couple tasks at once, but we'll do it. Okay. It's almost there. While I'm doing this, question was, are you glazing the dark shapes? Not necessarily glazing. Hold on a second. I'm not necessarily like glazing in the sense where everything's gonna go dark for a second, so don't think I just ran away. I'm just trying to get this video on here. I'm hold on. Can you hear me? I think you can hear me. Okay. I'm glazing in the sense that I'm using the transparency of the paint, not so much the using the medium to glaze in like an oil painting fashion. I think you can hear me. It shows that you can hear me.
Project 1. Light and Shadow. Materials needed: 1 vine charcoal.
Okay, so I just had to set that up on my computer real quick. So I'm going to take a break, and you're going to have the first lesson of my semester series play for a couple minutes. I won't show the entire lesson, but hopefully the first couple minutes will give you an idea if you like the style of the way I'm going to be teaching the classes. So I will be taking a break now. Hopefully you will stay with me here, and we'll return after the break and finish this painting up, and yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy that.
Project 1. Light and Shadow. Materials needed: 1 vine charcoal stick, burnt umber and white, minimum 9x12 canvas, and any thin to medium size acrylic or oil paint brushes. Pause the video on each checkpoint. So we are going to work our way up to the first checkpoint, and per checkpoint what you're going to want to do is pause the video and use the checkpoint image itself as the reference for you to catch up to where I am in the current demonstration. The video is edited to make it easier for you to follow along the entire big picture, the big idea of what we're doing. This is the envelope. So what we're doing is we're working the outside shapes. No measuring is needed here. Just work with simple straight lines and angles moving across the side of the face. Most faces are pretty much some type of square. So if you start out with a squarish type shape and angle it a little bit for the forehead and for the cheekbone, you're pretty much good to go. So just follow these simple straight lines. Don't worry about having to keep up with the drawing. Please pause it once you get to the checkpoint. We are now approaching the first checkpoint. This is going to be the point where you pause the video and use this as your reference. Each checkpoint is corrected relative to the perspective. The camera is at an angle with all demonstrations, but these images have the correct perspective. Now I'm going to explain where to go from here. So once you have the outside shapes figured out, then you're going to go into the interior shapes. Working your way into the interior shapes is going to be much easier if you start with that mark right there. That is the side of the concavity of the eye socket. If the model is turned the way that we see here, the eye that's closest to the edge of the face is usually the easiest pointer to put down as your first mark for the eye socket. And now we're going to go in for an angle for the eyebrows, which also gives me a very cohesive angle for the eye socket. Now working my way to the other side. When you're drawing, you want to work side by side. So working from one eye then to the next. Following along this way ensures that you don't accidentally put the wrong angle or something like that. But keep your shape simple and easy such that when the time comes to make changes, they're easy to do. That little triangle that I put on the side of the eye right there, that is going to be the concavity of the eye socket. Work with these general shapes for the eye sockets themselves and use that as a place marker for where everything else is going to fit. It's basically the headquarters of the face, the eye sockets. Using that will give you a clear indication of where.
Okay, so I'm back. Hopefully, you got something out of the first. I think that was 3 minutes. 3 minutes of the lesson. The big difference is that because my camera was at an angle a lot, like most of the time in the past, I figured out how to use my editing software to fix the distortion. Of course, here there's not that much distortion. There's a little bit, but it's not as bad as it was before. So each checkpoint has been edited so that the perspective is corrected. So it's up to you whether you want to do that or not. It's all up to you. So Circle Doyer, how often do you think you should wash your brushes when painting? Um, well, with acrylic, every couple minutes. Oil paint, every couple days because it doesn't dry that fast. But with oil paint, basically by the time I'm done painting for the day, I try to clean all my brushes, which doesn't always happen, especially with oil paint. With acrylic, you want to clean very frequently because it does dry and then there's nothing you can do after it dries. So hopefully you like that the first 3 minutes of my first project. And this is the home stretch. There won't be any more breaks from here. So we're gonna add as much subtlety as we can. And then this will wrap up today. And tomorrow we return with pastel. So here I'm doing the best I can to mix wet into wet. I added the color directly onto here. Wet palette recommendations. The Stay Wet palette is the best that I can think of right now. Stay Wet, STA, and then wet. I should have it linked in the description. Let me know if for some reason I forgot to put it on there. But yeah, the Stay Wet palette is the best. I wouldn't have been able to do all this without it. Should have used a larger brush for that, but oh well. See if I can add the yellow to it now. So circle door. How much do you stick to your established light logic, like planes cooled down warm, for example? Are there moments where you break from that? Usually I don't think of like cool light warm shadow kind of stuff. I think that's what you mean, which is common in almost all scenarios. But so for example, like it's a cool light, and by contrast there's nothing left that's going to be cool here, so it's going to be warm. But this is cool here, and this is also cool here because it's light coming from here and also light coming from there. So I don't stick with a kind of like a system that much these days. It's more with color. It's more up to basically the light effect and working with my perception of color, which is not that easy to do from a photo reference because it's one dimensional. But the training that I got was every plane change is a color change. And what you're doing is you're describing the color of the light with your plane changes. So more or less just following one simple principle. Every plane change is a color change. Mostly, but yes, I do break from that. Say here and here, they're pretty much the same. They're coming from the same light source, and I did make this one more green than this, but they're still pretty similar. So I do break from it once in a while. Especially if I'm trying to go for like some kind of effect, then I do break from it. You know, like you could think about it as theory is to physics as like math is to engineering. Like no, never mind. I got that backwards. Theory in painting is all about the theoretical world and like what works in the theoretical world. But in painting, the practicality of it is that sometimes you have to do things different than what the formulas say or what the theories say. But certain things don't break that often. Like light and shadow, for example. Like there's always light and shadow, even though that there's light coming this way and light coming that way. Yep, no problem. Circle door. Hey, Jacqueline Jackson. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the comment. This shape has been giving me the most trouble out of all the colors. Not just the value is a challenge, but the color itself is not that easy. On a portrait, this is the most subtle area anyway. So add to that the difficulty with the color. You've got yourself a recipe for a fun time. Thanks, Circle Door. You know, acrylic is definitely growing on me. I'm not the most experienced acrylic painter on here, but it's growing on me. I kind of like what we can do with acrylic. One of these days I'm going to spend the money and get the Golden brand. These are just the cheap Artist Loft. But the Stay Wet palette is absolutely essential for this. And the difficulty with this area is that it's both warm and cool, which should balance out to a gray. And here it should be a tad bit more pink. I just have to keep trying till I get the right value and the right color. I think we almost got it. Less blue. This is a gamble. Alright, that looks good. Now, this needs to get it more subtle. Not easy to do, but with the Stay Wet palette, it helps a ton. Okay, almost. That's the curvature that I want. And that's difficult with any material. The Legendary Vegan Gaming, you're a big fan of Liquitex soft body paints. Soft body paints, interesting. The golden, I think, are like also, I think they're like heavy body, I'm not sure. soft body. Okay, let me try those out at some point. Thank you for your advice on that. Now it's all about subtlety. Where in the beginning, plane changes like this were great, but now it's too much of a dark line. And it's interesting to note that the most naturalistic paintings are not necessarily the most detailed paintings. So it's not like I need to add more, it's that the stuff that's here needs to have more refinement relative to the surrounding stuff. So in essence, quality over quantity. The legendary vegan gaming, you're up there. Nice middle ground between heavy body paint and a liquid acrylic. Use them for illustrative work. Cool. Gotta check them out. Liquid text, soft body. Okay. We're just barely scratching the surface with these acrylics. I'm editing certain things and I have to sit back. That's one thing I've learned ever since ever since I started painting is standing back as much as possible. But these days I'm actually sitting back, standing back even more frequently than I used to. So things that I've edited from the original is this. I like this dark, more kind of simplified shape versus the original. There's a certain kind of contrast to what I have here, leaving this alone in terms of the composition. I think that in the photograph, that line of blue that you see over there is too distracting. It takes the eye away from the model, and so does the earring. I think the earring takes away, having the glasses and the earring I think is a little overpowering for the composition. The abstract nature between this and this works pretty well, but I think there can also be a difference between this quadrant and this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and alter the picture. I won't paint what's in the picture anymore relative to here or even the face. Only certain things from the face will be added. You need to know how to basically feel out your compositions so that you're not limited to only what you're looking at. Some of the greatest compositions are, I think, just felt. that someone just felt that that shape needed to be that value or something like that. And it's a feeling to me that there should be a gradation here. Can't tell you exactly why. It's just a feeling. As an artist, you need to know how to trust your instincts. Trust your instincts. And that green contrasting these orangey colors here is pretty good. And I don't have to worry about them. See, I can let this touch the edge and it won't brown out right away because it's dry. Almost the main diagonal actually shows up now. And I always mention this in a composition, you really want to have some kind of diagonal. It's a very classical thing, and it's not something that's as evident in the reference, so it's something I have to kind of make up. And as to what value, what color it should be, totally up to how you feel. And there's different personality types, right? Depending on what your personality is like, will determine what kind of compositions you will create, what kind of subject matter you will paint about. For me, it's more about the imagery rather than kind of like the message behind it. But there's always a message. You know, these kind of brush strokes here, they're felt. It's not necessarily something that is planned. Alright, back to the smaller brush. Some more subtlety on the nose. Remember, the schedule is Wednesday, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And same time for all of my streams, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We typically go no more than 3 hours, but sometimes we will do 3 hours. Like right now, we're only about 30 minutes shy of 3 hours, but Wednesdays, oil paint, Thursdays, acrylic Friday's pastel. Hey Giselle. Oh, thank you for that comment. You like the energy in the brushwork. I'm glad you like the background too. Thank you, thank you. Anyone watching this that's interested in this painting along with pretty much all the other ones that I do, will be available at some point in the future. I'll do prints as well. Signed prints. In case anyone's interested in that. But if you're not, that's okay. I'm glad you're here. I took a chance with this one, really, I did. I wanted to do something different. And I mentioned that yesterday. I just was like, I feel like doing something different. The subtlety in the values as I'm adding just a darker shape for the tear bag under the eye. I don't know why, but I feel like there should be a blue here. Not symmetrical, but close enough. Something like that. Why? I don't know. It just seems like it makes sense. Now highlights in the hair. Just little highlights here and there to fill the form, the complete form has both a darkest dark accent and a lightest light. I still feel like there should be more color there. Doing the best I can with the limited palette. There we go. It's a little better. And the painting is almost there. We've got about half an hour till 3 hours, but not sure if this one needs the whole 3 hours. Hey, Hansel dog. Oh, thanks. I'm glad the background really makes the model pop. Alright, so we will not add too much more, I don't think. Still, I keep going back and forth with this area here. Difficult area. The challenge is some parts want to be warm, some parts want to be cool. I will attempt to use broken color, which is a technique that I was taught early on, where you just kind of zigzag the brush a little bit, show a little bit of the cool, show a little bit of the warm. Something like that. And we'll see what it looks like when it dries. Here's where it's going to get a little tough. There should be some rim lighting here, a light on the edge. So I'm going to try to use wet on wet. Only got a couple seconds to get this right. And if I don't, no big deal. Try it again. I guess I should just call that the corner of the neck. Something like that. That kind of worked, actually. I didn't think it would. You see now, by contrast, it still looks lighter than what I'm painting right now. That's perfect. The light on the edge of the neck. Okay. So Handsome Dog, you wrote, what size brush are you using? This is just a cheap Michael's brush. I think it's one of those Artist Loft also. It's a size, I'd say it's comparable to a size 2 round. Not quite a size 1, but like a size 2. Now we can add the details on the glasses. Not that I want to add much. But for example, there should be a shadow. There are reflections on the glasses, but I don't really want to put those reflections in. Let's use my, what am I doing? This is dry, I can rest my pinky on it. Forgot. Now the other side of the frame. The dark accents now. With glasses, you don't want to fill out the entire circle. Or ellipse, I guess in this case. You don't want to fill out the entire ellipse. Just in terms of aesthetics, from all the old master paintings I've seen, almost none of them choose to fill out the entire ellipse. It also prevents you from having to draw a perfect ellipse. Alright, so I'm going to stand back again, see if there's anything else that I want to change. Okay, I don't really see anything that I want to change anymore. I kind of like the way the painting looks as it is. Not really much else. So that'll be it. That'll be the point where I'll ask any last minute questions. And don't worry, we will be back tomorrow, same time with pastel. So hopefully you're enjoying these long-term live streams. Do I plan to do any shine mirroring on the glasses? Nah. I think the reflection on the glasses in the picture, I know the picture looks really small, but the little bit of shine that's here and here kind of is a little bit obstructive, takes away from the painting. Now think about Vermeer when he there's one painting, I think it's called the painting's called The Art of Painting, where one of the legs of an easel is missing. Things like that. But I don't think those reflections would help too much with the composition. Of course, I can sign it while we're waiting for any last minute questions. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And yes, it can be done with acrylic. It's also a lot easier to sign with acrylic. I know you can't see it. I'm signing it here so that it follows the main diagonal. Thank you for watching. Thanks, of course, Hansel Dog and Mauve. Thank you. Coran, thank you. Or Korhan. I'm pretty sure I mispronounced your name. Thanks for watching. Korhan, I think. The nice thing about this, everybody, is you can just put your brush in your McDonald's cup full of water and it'll stay wet for forever. And your Stay Wet palette, all you gotta do is close it and put it off to the side. Make sure you leave it flat, of course, so it doesn't drip. And this is going to keep the paints wet until you're ready to use them again. So that's all I got for you today. Let me take the palette out of there because that might look weird in the thumbnail, in case the thumbnail decides to be this image. So thanks again, everybody. I wish you all the very best, And remember, Wednesdays, oil painting, Thursdays, acrylic painting, and Fridays, pastel. Same time, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I wish you all the very best, and I'll see you on the next one.